with Paige and Saray, and today we're so excited. We are here with the cheese lady, the cheesemonger, Megan, who is the owner and founder of Milkmaid here in Fargo, and we are picking her brain on all the fun things.
She had so many interesting facts that she told us behind making the name of Milkmaid and the different pairings to do with different cheeses and wine. I truly never believed I could love talking about cheese as much as we did with Megan, and I really think everyone's going to enjoy this one.
So grab your cup and enjoy.
Yeah.
Welcome.
The show has began.
Yeah, we're so excited. Thanks so much for coming on our show.
Absolutely, this is fun.
Yeah.
Yay.
We were just saying how you've never done a podcast actually in person.
No, this is my first time. This is like such a fun experience. I've done one where it was during COVID, so it was like pre-recorded over a phone, so it was more like a interview, and it wasn't like this in-person experience. This is really fun.
Yeah. We're happy to have you. Yeah. And we have Buxton, my dog, just like trucking around down under the table,
well,
too.
I think he finished his dinner, so
he
nobody gets to hear the kibbles.
Yeah, the kibbles. I know.
Well, Saray and I are so excited because our favorite things ever, cheese boards, charcuterie, love it. So we're going to pick your brain on all the fun stuff.
Do it.
All the best cheeses to pair with wine and all that. So,
Yes.
So give us some background though to kick it off. You know, let us know the inspiration, how you started, all the good stuff.
Yeah, it's a kind of, I tell people, I have like kind of a little bit of a weird road of how I got to cheese. And that's a question I get asked a lot, right? It's like, how did you end up where you are? And I actually originally went to college to be a music teacher.
Oh.
I had nothing to do with food or anything like that. And I realized like very quickly that I was never wanted to be a teacher. And so I'm like, well, why, if I could just perform music at any time, why do I need to get a degree in it? And so it's kind of like one of those retroflective moments of like, well, what actually makes you happy? And cooking was what always made me happy. I was always in the kitchen. Both my grandmas and a lot of my family are just like really creative, hands-on people. And I realized right away, like, I should have never went to a traditional school. Like, I should have went to a tech school. Like, all of these realizations of, like, why they make us choose what we want to do when we're 18 years old just, like, blows my mind. And so I went to culinary school, but I had this big dream and vision of wanting to be a food stylist. So I wanted to work for, like, a magazine or a TV show, and I wanted to make the food look really good. But before you could do that, you had to kind of have a culinary background. So I dropped out of college, and I went to culinary school. And I met a really cute guy, and we're still married, and I never left to Chicago or New York or all those places. You know, I thought my food styling career would maybe take me. And so fast forward, I did a lot of like retail jobs, retail managing. I worked at David's Bridal. I managed for a couple years. I designed people's kitchens and baths and helped them pick out stuff. And so through all those kind of connections, I got a job at a boutique downtown Fargo, and I started their high-end cheese program, and that's kind of how I got my retail background back with the food. And then they also wanted to do some platter stuff, and it was kind of like the food styling and my love of cheese came together and had a baby, and that was Milkmaid. And it was just like this culmination of like the styling that I really liked and the product I had a huge passion for. And I was kind of doing it maybe before it became such like a Instagram food styling thing. Mm-hmm. And so it was definitely a little bit of an interesting road the first couple years because people weren't like quite sure what that charcuterie board hold thing meant. And now it's just like blown up, which is so fun. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I had a super supportive husband, and he saw my talent in it. And he's like, I think you should do this. And I was really unhappy doing retail, and I was like, okay, like I'll do this part-time, and if it works, it works. If not, at the time I had like a 2-year-old at home, and I was like, well, I'll stay home and kind of do this on the side. And I didn't make it part-time for very long. Yeah, it was really humbling. It was, people got really excited about it, and I 100% underestimated how much people love cheese. And I still do. It's still so
amazing.
Humbling. Yeah. So, I mean, I have like a little bit interesting road, and people will be like, well, how did you go from like bridal consultant to helping people design? And like, it kind of forces you to retroflect a little bit because you're like, how did I end up there? Like, that's just a weird trajectory. And I thought about it, and I was like, well, I was always making something look the best that it could be, whether it was you on your wedding day, your house or your bathroom, or, you know, food on a platter. It was always that kind of going back to that aesthetic, artistic upbringing that I had through my family. And kind of that, like, grit of, like, we're going to do it ourselves and we're going to figure it out. And I don't know. And Milkmaid was born.
Milkmaid was born. We love it. That is so...
I love the name.
I think
it's so cool. How did
Thank
you come up with that? I mean, obviously cheese.
Yeah. And so, like, it was kind of a play, like, a little bit... I mean, I don't want to be, like, all, like, it was so deep of the thought process of it. But, like, in a way, it was a little bit of, like, female empowerment. Because when you look back at the history of cheese, it was always... the men raised the animals and the women made the product. And so they were called milkmaidens or milkmaids. And that was their job on the farm, was to make the cheese and to make the yogurt and all the animal byproduct. And kind of as a way of survival, it's like people who used to can and preserve, right? It was like, how do we take that fresh product and make it last longer? So it's kind of a homage, like, everything that I do is made of milk, but in a way it's also a homage of, like, I'm a strong woman doing the things with the product. So I don't know, it fit. It felt good.
I don't know why I have chills from that.
You guys are sweet.
I love that.
Well, you're the Women Empowerment Podcast, so I think that's just amazing. The background
is so cool.
So cool.
Thanks.
I didn't realize that, actually.
No.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, so random question. Do you have a goat? Whose goat is that? In my
picture! Yeah. Okay, that's a really, really funny story. And a lot of people don't know, but that was taken like a week and a half before I had my second child. So, like, I did my whole first year of business pregnant, which I got a beautiful baby out of it, but I 10 out of 10 do not recommend. It was very stressful. And then I baby wore her like a kangaroo for like 4 months afterwards. So at the time, my really good friend Andrew, he owns a Bovo marketing firm downtown. And at the time, I was renting space from them. And like where others used to be and where Dailies is now, they used to have that kind of be an event space when I first started. And so they were kind of this marketing team. And the same time that I was taking my 1-year birthday shoot and I was launching my cheese wheel cakes, it just so happened that they were doing a photo shoot for North Dakota FFA, and there was baby goats there. So it was just this like crazy coincidence. And Andrew was like, I think you need to take a picture of this baby goat. And I'm like, you're so right. And this little thing was like so cooperative. It was honestly like, I don't know how that happened in my life, but it was just like this perfect coincidence of like photo shoot for me, photo shoot for them. Here's 2 baby goats. Take a picture.
We are absolutely posting that on our Instagram because you people listening need to see this goat. I was really hopeful it was your pet.
Oh, I know. If it was up to me, I would have town chickens and like and goats are so cute. Yeah, and they they make that little like bleating noise, and it's like, oh my god, they're so cute. My husband would literally kill me if I had a goat or farm chickens. So,
but it feels on brand.
Battles.
Yeah, because do you do goat cheese ever? I mean, is that something that you play with a lot?
Yeah, I love goat's milk cheese. Actually, it's my favorite absolute category of cheese. I actually have one tattooed on my forearm.
No way.
Yeah.
We need it.
Cool.
Oh my gosh.
When I say cheese is a lifestyle, cheese is a lifestyle.
As a lifestyle.
Yeah. So no, I do. I've even had donkey milk cheese. I've kind of tried some. I've had yak butter. Yeah, I've tried lots of fun things. So.
Oh my gosh.
Is yak butter good?
It's crazy. I don't know if you guys remember a couple years ago, like when I first started. So probably like 4 years ago, it was called like Bulletproof Coffee.
Yes.
Okay, so that originally what that was is it wasn't made with regular butter. It was made with like yak or water buffalo butter, and that's because it had such a higher, like it has a higher milk protein content, and that's what made it like more bodybuilding and like better for you.
Oh.
And so we cheese nerds have a cheese society conference every year. And one of the sessions was butter. So we got to try butter from all these different animals. And yeah.
So if you want to get in shape this summer, yak butter it is.
Yeah, in your coffee. I don't think the trend lasted very long though, but it's crazy. I bring it up still because people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, have you heard of what was the Bulletproof Coffee? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's what it was. That's how it started.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
That was a tangent upon tangent, but we're here now.
We're here.
But we're back.
What a cheese convention.
Yeah.
Sounds like a place I belong.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tell that.
Can anyone go?
Yeah. I tell that to people, and it's super funny because, like, no, people don't really know that exists. And so where I'm a member of what's called the American Cheese Society Conference. And it started out, actually, it was mostly all cheese makers. And because in the United States, there was this huge, like, rebirth of American-made cheeses in the 80s, started in California, mostly goat's milk cheeses. And they're like, we need to have some sort of collaborative thing where, like, we have a nation force of, like, we're making really good cheeses again. And so it's really the primary spot in America where cheeses are judged yearly, and that's kind of how it started. And then it's been opened up to cheesemongers and distributors, and it's now there's a couple thousand people that go every year. Like, my first one was in Des Moines. I've been to Denver.
Oh, cool.
I've been to Richmond.
Cool.
Yeah, so it kind of travels around. And then the very last day, right, everybody's bringing in these thousands of wheels to get judged, and it's kind of like, well, what do we do with all this cheese? And so they have this huge festival of cheese. So if you've ever been to the Denver Convention Center, realize how big that is. Like, imagine half of that being filled with, like, tables upon tables of, like, thousands of cheeses, and you can just eat and try whatever you want.
I'm there.
It's like my dream.
And it was crazy because, like, the public can, if you're from, you know, they open it up to the public, they sell tickets for it. And in Denver, I think it's such a foodie city. It was so cool to see, there was a line, like, out the convention center and, like, around, of, like, people trying to get in. And we only have an hour before, like, the rest of the country can come in and try cheese. And I was like, eat as fast as you can, because once the masses get in, we're never going to get it. But yeah, it's just a fun thing. And the cheese community is so supportive, and it's really actually it's a very woman-driven thing. A lot of still really amazing cheesemakers, majority of them are women, and so it's just a fun, supportive thing. Yeah, it's very cool.
I think it's because us women like wine and cheese.
Yes.
And we're just nurturing, right? It's like taking, like, an animal and nurturing that, and then taking a byproduct, and it's very like hands-on, very time-driven, very, like, babying almost. Like, if you think about it, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
So I love that you talk about women supporting women and just kind of coming together to support. So who have been some of your biggest supporters? Because I'm sure it was really scary to start your own business. And,
it's terrifying. You know, I have to say, when I first started out, I prep out of Square One Kitchens. Have you guys heard of that space at all before? Okay. So Casey Steele is this most amazing woman who owns the facility, and she honestly is still to this day one of the best sounding boards that I've ever had. And it's not even just, like, I think sometimes you want to be babied, and she's the type of person that's like, nope, let's honestly work this out. And there's been so many times where I've hit, like, a roadblock, or, like, I know what the right answer is, but I just need somebody to tell me to me straight, and she's always that person. Like, I can go to her and be like, hey, here's the customer situation. Or, like, last week, hey, I really effed up. Like, and I need somebody to soundboard off who's been in that situation before, to be like, how do you fix this? And I'm really lucky I don't have a lot of problematic clients, but there's just situations where you're like, I'm in over my head here and I don't know. Also, too, my mom was awesome. I think everybody loves their mom. But my mom especially, she had owned a business prior, so she really knew, like, what that meant. And she was also like, and I also saw what that did to our relationship. It was a standard retail. She worked all the time. She was tired all the time. And it really helped me to try to find that life balance of, I want to own a business, but I also want to have a family life. And I don't want to take that away from my family. So how do you find that balance? And she was really integral in that part of it. And then I don't know. I have really good employees. I've had one gal who's been with me part-time since the very beginning. And I think it's really good to have it, like, just people that will, again, I think honesty. Like, I think everybody wants everybody to be like, oh, your stuff is so great. That's fine. But you're never going to get better if somebody doesn't sometimes be like, what, have you ever thought about this?
Yeah, absolutely.
This might be, so I think sometimes we as women, we, like, tiptoe around that. And I don't think it has to be done in a negative way all the time, but be like, hey, let's have, like, I've had some really good coffees with women, and, like, just be like, what did you learn? Like, Andrea, who owns Burn Bombs, and, I've had some really good coffees with some really good women that even were like, it's okay to fail, because sometimes that's what it takes to get you to where you need to be. And yeah, I've had a really good experience with women and men, and just in general in the area. I think really when you own a small business in Fargo, we want to help another small business. And I think that's really, even in the years that I've been in business, like seeing how restaurants have changed. Like I tell people all the time, like when I started Milkmaid, there was 5 Applebee's. You know what I mean? And how that table has kind of shifted and how people are appreciating better food. And I think that sometimes small businesses helping others lift each other up.
I totally agree. It's such a community, and people, it seems like, have found ways to partner together and to just work off of ideas. So I love that you say that, because I totally feel that too.
Yeah. And that was a huge part of Milkmaid's business model from the very beginning. And I say this sometimes, and I talk to other people who are starting new businesses, and it, in a way, sometimes it feels a little bit shallow, but it isn't if you think about it logically, right? So like when I first started Milkmaid, it was, who are people that I feel really passionate about? I really love what they're doing, but they also have a bigger following than me. And how can we partner together? Like for an example, like I've done a ton of stuff with Drecker Brewing Company. I've done a lot of things with Great Plains Hospitality. So like Twist, the Boiler Room. I built really awesome, solid core relationships with those people. And now it's so mutually beneficial because Milkmaid now has a little bit more, what do I want to say? I'm more known now than I was when I started, right?
Yeah.
So now I have new businesses that I love to do that same thing with them. I love you. I love your business. Let's partner together. Piggyback off of my social media. Piggyback off of my people, because I want to help you get exposed to the community. And so it's kind of that helpful. So I don't think that's always a negative. I think that's a great tip or trick. It's like, how can you piggyback off of each other to make it mutually beneficial?
But I love that you look at it in the other perspective too. Because I think a lot of people look at, could see that as, oh, you're just climbing the ladder. But in reality, as long as you're always giving back, you're only helping yourself grow. And so if everyone can, okay, I'll help you get up, you help me get up. Because at the same time, those people who had followers also need something new, something different to talk about.
100%. And so now that I'm I still consider myself like I'm in the toddler stage of business ownership. Like it's not infancy anymore. I can like leave it for a while and it's not going to hurt itself.
That is such a good way to put that.
That's been my analogy from the very beginning.
It's a toddler.
It's a toddler now. Like I can leave it. I can go off for a weekend and my employees have it because they're wonderful and they're awesome. Like it just is a different feeling. But like, find other, like if you're an established business, like find somebody in infancy that could use your help, but is also mutually beneficial to you, and kind of try to do some fun collaborative things together. And I think it's creative, right? A lot of the people who have their own businesses do that because they're creative people and they don't want to be stuffed inside a box of what people say your business or who you work for has to be. And so it's just fun. It's fun.
Totally. That is awesome. Fun.
Yeah. And
you have had to have done some really fun stuff throughout your time doing
it's not been
this.
Boring.
So
I wish it was boring sometimes.
We do want to pick your brain on a couple of fun things that you've done. Yeah. And specifically, we came up with a little list of some type of events. And I'm sure within everything you've done, you probably have something unique to each one of these. So we are going to be giving you a event, and we want you to tell us what you would do.
Oh my gosh, this is fun. Okay, let's do it.
We're glad it's fun because we're like, I hope she likes this.
Let's do it. This is great. I'm gonna be like Milkmaid. Next event, right here.
Yes, okay. We might help brainstorm some ideas for 2021, 2022. So I think the first one we want to start off with, because it's coming up, is 4th of July. Thinking kind of outdoor barbecue, summer flavors, lake.
Yeah.
What would you do for something like that?
Well, can I use something I already did? Because it was really fun. We did a package last year for COVID. And summertime things are sometimes hard because people are just always so busy. We don't do a lot of classes and things because people want to be outside. And so it's more usually when we do summer stuff, it's more like grab and go. And so last year we did red, white, and blues. And it was you got like a white bottle of wine, like a red charcuterie, a blue cheese, crackers. So we did like a red, white, and blue themed bag. And
love that.
And it went really well actually for that exact reason. Like people were going to see family. It was a nice little welcome bag, or you're out at the lake and you just want to, or you're going to somebody's cabin and you always feel like you need to bring something with you. What else could you do?
That is adorable.
Are you doing that again this year?
I don't know. I don't know if we're going to. And the only reason why I say that is because we get so busy with like market season and those types of things that it's like we kind of are still small enough where we have to be a little bit more picky and choosy of like where that energy goes to. Yeah. And so the bigger we get, the more we can take on. But yeah, we still kind of have to be that more like driven energy into things that we know are crazy.
Well, if you do, please tag us in whatever post that is, so I know ASAP, because I'm buying one.
I was actually thinking in my head, I'm like, oh great, I can get that for the lake.
Exactly.
And we have done that in the past too. We've done like lake grab bags where you pick them up on a Friday and they have like everything you would need to make a Milkmaid platter, but you can put it out yourself. So like our platters have a shorter lifespan, right? Because they're tight. I tell my employees they're tight, they're right, and they kind of everything touches. That's kind of the point. And so we package it all separately so then you can put it together at home.
Nice.
That's so fun.
That's really fun.
We might have to bring those back.
Okay, love that idea for
some. So that's really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of looking back now, or not back, but forward after the 4th. What about something for like Thanksgiving?
Yeah, Thanksgiving and Christmas are our 2 highest grossing days of the year. And that is just strictly off of straight platter sales.
Okay.
And so for the past couple years, like we just do like pre-sale, and we have so many of them, like we can't even deliver them because there's like, I think we put out close to like 80 platters last Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh.
So we do like you pre-order and then we reach a certain point and we just are like, nope, we're full. And then within like a 6-hour time frame, we have 80 platters that go out the door. And I have a wonderful gal, her name is Sam, and she is like the most organized person I've ever met, and she saves my life in more ways than one. And she's the type of person, like, she absolutely loves that type of stuff. So she, like, takes it on and she, like, coordinates all of my pickups.
Amazing.
And so I think we had over 100 go out. We had over 100 go out for Christmas, and we had over 80 go out for Thanksgiving. And so though we don't really necessarily do anything special for those days because we don't have to. They're just crazy on their own. They've kind of taken on a life of their own. And it's not even that we don't want to do it. It's like we don't have any more cheese. Right. Like we've run out of, because we pre-order all of our stuff in September. So we kind of pre-plan, and then it's like you get to a certain point and distributors are like,
what's gone is gone.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, it's every year that's kind of fun. It's kind of projecting that and being like, okay, well, what's the growth we hope for and what's the reality to which we can do? So yeah, I would love to do something like really cool and unique on Thanksgiving, but it's like, nope, we barely.
You're just like doing what we can.
We get it done.
Go ahead.
I think a lot of people just feel like that for Thanksgiving in general.
Yeah.
I think that time of the year just gets to be so, like, people get so worked up about everything, and I think that's why they come to us, is because we take some of that stress. And it's beautiful, it's unique, it's something that everybody would appreciate, and it's not, I always joke around when I teach classes, it's not your Aunt Karen's platter with like rectangle cheese, rectangle cheese. It's just like a little bit more elevated and
memorable.
For sure. Exactly.
Hopefully that's what people think. Yeah, we like to think so.
So what about a date night, or maybe someone's gonna propose to somebody, or some type of
you guys are I've actually
romantic.
Can somebody tell Landon this?
Yeah, Landon, listen up.
I'm kidding.
I've done a proposal platter, actually.
That's so cool.
Yep, I have photos of it. It was actually a photographer. And she proposed to her girlfriend, and it was amazing, and it was beautiful and so special. Shout out to Morgan. It was so pretty. And so I did that, and then I do date nights all the time. Have you guys heard of my date night packages before?
No,
I don't think so. Yeah,
okay.
Tell more.
So when we started Milkmaid, my husband and I were sitting down, and I was like, what are some events that I personally would be really excited about? And my husband and I talk about this all the time. We have 2 kids under the age of 6, and we never get out. Ever. And it's because you can't find a babysitter, or you have all these other things going on, and then your regular nights turn into like, oh, we'll just sit here and watch Blacklist again and not do anything new or exciting. It is the reality when you have young kids and you own a business and whatever. And so my concept was, how can I make something special and portable that couples can take home with them or can take somewhere with them, And it's something they can enjoy together that's special, but it doesn't require a lot of extra steps to make it special. And so we launched date night almost right away. And it's, again, has a little bit of a cult following. It's really fun. And so you always get a cheese platter for 2. And then we partner up with some sort of beverage. So we've done Drecker Brewing Company. We've done beer, we've done wine, we've done cider. So you get like a 4-pack or the equivalent of a beverage to go with it. And then we always partner with like a local bakery. Again, pulling in those other. So you always get like a fun dessert. We've done like hand pies, mini cheesecakes. We've done Duchessa Gelato in the summer. And then on Valentine's Day, which is our biggest one, we do it every Valentine's Day. Then we partner with Love Always, and you can buy a bouquet. So
love these people.
Yeah. So cool.
So we do date nights at least 3 to 4 times a year. And so we'll do another one. We always, again, summer people tend, but we always try to do one in like August or September.
Okay.
And then we usually do one in Valentine's Day, which is our biggest one every year. And then, if we can squeeze one in some other time. But, and then it all comes in like a Milkmaid thermal tote, so it's all in a package. And then you can reuse that for future date nights or whatever. It's been really fun. And we love it because...
I love that idea.
Yeah, we have couples that do it every single time, and they just really look forward to that. Or if we have a pickup at Drecker, like, they just sit down at Drecker and they enjoy it together.
That would be so fun.
So fun.
Just an elevated, different date night.
Right. And it's something that you could have an experience at a restaurant, but the reality is you don't have to leave your house. And I think that's so bad. Like, this was pre-COVID, but my husband and I were like, we just want to sit in our sweatpants.
Right.
And so, like, I think after COVID, people are like, that's just how I live now.
Right. Yeah. This is just life.
Or maybe you just want to sit outside with a nice blanket or sit on your deck, like the comfort of home.
Correct.
I totally
I love
that.
We love date nights, and we love proposal things. We've done some like really fun, like just people have approached us about random things. I've done a dog's first birthday party before.
Cute.
I mean, we've done some really fun. I mean, we have the opportunity to do. We've done some crazy fun stuff.
What is like the wildest, most unique thing that you've ever been either done yourself just out of your creative mind or been asked to do?
Sure. I love classes. I love fun classes. And I love the idea. So Milkmaid's core value for as far as like community support is helping people who are food insecure. That's the passion. So we do a lot with like food insecurity. We guest chef for Heart and Soul Community Cafe. I'm on the board for Growing Together Community Gardens. And so we kind of try to like to support those types of things. So we've done those types of fun events too. But my favorite thing I think I've done, and it was kind of a crazy idea, is I partnered with a local Girl Scout troop. And I did Girl Scout cookies and cheese.
Ooh.
It was so fun because like cheese and dessert goes like really well together, and people don't often think that. And so like it was adorable little kindergarten Girl Scout troop, and they came in with your ticket sales. Everybody got 2 boxes of cookies included with your ticket price. So like the girls were guaranteed like 60 boxes of cookies just for partnering with me for the class. And then I think and then you're drinking at the same time. So I think like people were leaving with like 10 to 12 boxes of
give
cookies.
Me more cookies.
And these little girls were like, this is the best. It was so fun. It was just a fun concept of a class. It was fun to partner with the little kids. It was like a feel good thing at the same time. I don't know. I can tell you my favorite class by far for my customers is my Beer versus Wine Smackdown class.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, we sell that out every time that we do it. And so we partner with Drecker, other breweries in the past. And so I love it because I don't have to do a lot of work. Like which sounds so bad. So how the concept is I pick 6 obscure cheeses, like really funky, out of the box things, and then I work with a somm, and I work with a brewery or somebody who's really proficient in beer, and they pair with those cheeses. So I don't have to do any of that. It's a competition. Cool. So it's the beer versus the wine. Then you pay a ticket, you get the 6 cheeses, you get the 6 beers, you get the 6 wines, and then you guys get a paddle to vote. So it has like, and we did one even where we went as far as we had like a wrestling ring, and we had like the bell, and like
so
fun. It was super fun, and it was a great like. Guys love it, women love it. It's not just, it was a really fun, like, date night, gonna get out and do it kind of thing. Yeah. And so we didn't do it last year because of COVID. But I did a huge virtual one for Microsoft just a month ago, and that was really fun. So yeah, people love that type of stuff because when people go out, right, it's okay to go have a dinner, but like it's fun to do something.
Yes.
So it's like if you go, like a comedy show or like whatever that is, it's nice to have an activity.
Because it does get stale to just go and eat.
Right.
Like, go and eat.
Right.
So that is so fun that you're bringing just like a new way of looking at eating.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like, and I think it's a fun experience because a lot of people know that cheese and wine go well together, or know that they've had beer and cheese and it's been pretty good, but they don't quite understand like what a good pairing can really do for food. And it's a nice way to approach it and not in a pretentious and overwhelming way. And that's kind of been Milkmaids Umbrella the whole time, and that's why I have like the quirky little characters and whatever, because cheese has this reputation of sometimes being pretentious and it's expensive and it's overwhelming, and so we want to try to find events that are educational but don't scare people away or are still really fun and approachable.
So are you doing that again this year?
If it will be this year, it'll be this fall.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we usually do it in the spring, but since we missed it with COVID this year, we'll kind of see where that lies. We'll definitely do it again because it's just such a fun event. But yeah, where that falls, we'll see.
Yeah.
I want to know, okay, what are some of these crazy cheeses that you're talking about? And
I mean, cheese is so vast. I mean, really it is. It's like thousands upon thousands of varieties, and it's very similar to like wine in the fact of like, there's a Chardonnay, but how many different Chardonnays are there? And there's so many different nuances and flavors and terroir and all of these big things. Cheese is they have a lot of parallels, which is why they go so well together.
Yeah.
Probably one of my craziest ones that I bring in every year is called Rush Creek Reserve. It comes from Upland Creamery in Wisconsin, and we're not allowed to sell raw milk cheeses in the United States that haven't been aged for 60 days. It's a law. But Rush Creek is kind of a rebel. Like they make this raw milk soft ripened cheese, so like a brie pillowy cheese, right?
Yeah.
And then they wrap it in spruce bark, so it's like a bowl. Okay, so like there's the like spruce bark around, and it's like a white creamy cheese on the inside. You can actually like bake it. It kind of tastes like bacony fondue, and you can like cut off the top. And I joke around, it's like a $60 wheel of cheese, but the best way to eat it is like with ruffled potato chips.
Honestly, yum. That sounds amazing.
It sounds so good.
It's so good. And so it's kind of a rebel because he'll ship it out at like day 58, so you can consume it at day 60. So it's like the closest you can get to having raw milk cheese, and it's just really cool. It's hyper seasonal. They only make so many of them. That cheese is really fun. I brought an Alp Blossom before, and that's a larger format cheese that's completely wrapped in like flora, like tea leaves, grass. So it literally looks like a giant bouquet on the outside. That one's really beautiful and really interesting.
Do you ever do that for your wedding cakes? Because you do cheesecakes,
I do cheese wheel cakes. Yeah, I have never done that one because it's a large format wheel, and you'd have to have like a lot of people who want to eat like a lot of cheese to make that be, we're talking like...
Paige, I think you got to do it.
I know! Yeah.
Someone's got to do it.
The cakes are so fun.
I love like a good blueberry cheese.
Yeah.
What's like the best you've had or seen?
Honestly, I love fresh goat's milk cheeses, and you can like wrap it in anything and cover it in anything, and I will be all about it. And goat's milk cheeses tend to come that way because they're really lactic and lemony, and they can really hold up to a lot of different flavors. So that's why you'll see them wrapped with blueberries or cranberries or herbs or whatever. Everything bagel is really good fun.
Ooh,
and so I really like LeClaire Family Farms out of Wisconsin. I think I like their goat's milk chefs the best, and they do a lot of really fun fruit ones.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Huh.
Amazing.
You can get like fruit cheddars too.
Yeah.
All the things that you can do with cheese that I just honestly never even thought about.
I know.
No. And now I'm so hungry.
And now I'm
so excited to
starving.
go have a next cheese. So what would you pair with this? This is just a red Chloe Pinot Noir.
Like this cheese too, I think has this cheese. Cheese on the brain. Like this wine has a little bit of It's a nice red, but it has a little bit of that like smoky back to it a little bit. So I have one of my favorite cheeses. It's called actually Smoky Blue. It's a smoked blue cheese out of Oregon. And I feel like this would play off of it really well because it's bold enough to stand up to the red, but like the smoke on the back and the smoke with the cheese I think could be really, really good.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna try that.
That
sounds so good.
sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. We need like a full list of just what you would do to what.
Yeah.
And people are like, how do you pair? How do you get good at it? And like I joke around, but it's really not that much of a joke. It's like, well, I eat a lot of cheese and I drink a lot of wine and I pair it with a lot of stuff. And you get better at it because you learn the rules and you learn kind of the ABCs of it. But then like we joke around, like I work with Dan, his name is, with wine all the time, and he's like, well, that pairing failed. And then sometimes you just don't know. You know, you guess
get it
and
right every
you can't
time.
bullseye it every time. But we've definitely worked together long enough that we usually come up with some pretty good things. But yeah, and he's again one of those really honest, humble, keeps me grounded type of people to work with. And he's like, well, that failed, and I'm like, it really wasn't great.
Yes,
but
thank
here
you.
we are.
So I used to have this book where it was like about wine and cheese. So
Yeah.
like this would pair with this cheese and blah, you know,
Yeah.
all the way down. And this was back when I was in college, so I wasn't super into it, but I think I should find it because I would appreciate it now.
Yes.
To like go back and read that.
Totally.
And they
Dang
make
it, I
really
love that.
awesome, like very usable phone apps too. Like if you're in
Yeah.
like Steve Jones is a gentleman who has a really good book out, but he also has an app that's really handy. So like if you find a cheese, you can type in the name of the cheese and then he'll give you like, you know, 3 is the best, 2, 1, 0. So if you're like in a smaller town, for an example, and maybe you don't have the 4 that might be the best, here's still a 1 or a 2 option that's probably more attainable and will still be really good with what you're having. So yeah, there's stuff out there.
Do you know what his is called? So we can link it?
I'll look here.
Yeah.
I'll look while you guys ask the next question.
Well, okay, so I do have, because you have probably got so much inspiration from places, and I think it would be fun to hear your favorite place to get a cheese board from.
Yeah.
Local and maybe out of state, if you have one.
Okay, fun. I have to say that I think locally, I really think that Eric Watson can not really do anything wrong when it comes to cheese plates. So like Rustica, Mezzaluna, which he's not there at those places anymore, but I think they still kind of keep that whole like nuance of what he did.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. Blackbird Pizza makes a really kick butt cheese plate.
Okay.
Never had that.
Me neither.
And because they also make all their own breads and crackers. So if you order like their cheese plate and then they have like their own bread and cracker basket, it's really good. Like that's a great place to go. Just go have like tapas. I think people always think just pizza, but I really like their homemade hummus is amazing. Their cheese boards are really good. Okay, if you're going out of state, oh man.
You can give us a couple, because I really want to know all the places.
Same.
Okay, so France 44 in the cities is really good. Also, it's not necessarily specifically a food, like a cheese board, but there's a really cool collaborative in Minneapolis called the Food Building.
Oh, cool.
And they have a charcuterie maker, a sourdough bread maker, and a creamery inside the same building. And then they have a restaurant that showcases all those products.
Cool.
So that's very cool. Like I think if you think of, there's certain cities that are like the epitomes of cheese, right? Like Murray's in New York City. Denver has a really cool cheese scene for sure. Minneapolis. I think my biggest advice would be is to just go and expose yourself to actual cheese shops, because a lot of them are going to have like a menu, and they're going to be in a way the most knowledgeable, unless you're going to like a restaurant that has a physical cheese program, meaning they have like a cheesemonger that's staffed to like specifically curate pairings for their menu. Like a cheese shop is the place to go, because if they can't make you a cheese board, they're going to help you curate one that you can make on your own. So I don't know, as far as like going to other cities and restaurants, that's hard, but I think my biggest advice would be like, don't be afraid to go to a cheese shop and be like, I need you to help me.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more than a person who loves cheese. Like, we just want to talk about cheese. So, like, you see the people that come in and they feel, like, really nervous because they don't know where to start and they don't know how to ask. And it's kind of just, like, you know, I always tell people, I teach a Cheese 101 class. This is, like, the basic example. And people take it because I want to show you 2 specific things that you find that you like. So I like cheeses that are really lemony and bright, and I like cheeses that are really salty and sharp. If you go into a cheese case and you look at a cheesemonger and you tell them those 2 things, they're like, okay, here's the 3 avenues to which I can take you. Yeah. So it's just like an empowering shopping thing. So just go to a cheese shop, talk to a cheese person. Have fun with it.
I've literally never done that. And I am like blown away that why have I never thought to do that?
I mean, go check out Luna in Fargo. They have a cheese case. Yeah. And that's, I mean, it's awesome. It's local. They have a good variety. And like, that's the best, is being like just sampling 1 or 2 things to like really help you see where your palate goes and what you want. It's awesome.
That sounds like a fun date night, actually.
So fun.
I think so.
Totally.
You know? Fun.
All right. We do have to ask you one question. We're trying to get better. Yeah. I say this every time because we don't ask everybody, but I feel like you will have a really great answer just going back to the name of Milkmaid and like that women empowerment that we honestly didn't even know you had behind your business, and we love that so much. So what does a queen mean to you?
Oh my gosh, what a good question. I think a queen, if you think of it in a traditional sense, but like putting it into the way that you're asking it, I think it's someone who isn't afraid to be brave and to show leadership, but to also help others who are underneath them. And I think that's something that's just been maybe the nature of my personality. Is I tell people all the time, like, I'm naturally an empathetic person, which sometimes hurts more than helps. It can. But at the same time, I think being a queen in that sense is learning how to lift yourself up, but also bringing the other people with you. And I think it shouldn't be singular, right? Like, being a queen shouldn't be like, I rule over everything. It's like, I rule over everyone. And how can you uplift everybody? So think about it, like, okay, this is a side thing, but I'm a huge nerd of period piece anything. Like, anything of, like, English queen and history, I'm obsessed with all of it.
Okay, I love that. Yeah.
I'm so dorky. But if you think about that, right, it's like that's kind of the whole concept. Is like you have this kingdom underneath you, right? And if they don't succeed, you don't succeed. So how can we as a group of women work together to help others succeed as well?
I love that.
Perfect answer.
That was so good.
That was a tangent answer, but
no, that was perfect. Because I think sometimes you get caught up in your everyday life. You get caught up on what you're doing, and you have to remember that you do. You know, you have to help everybody, so then they get to their goal, you get to yours.
Yes.
You know.
Right, because how would it feel if you got to the top? Like, if you got to the best of what you're doing, but you don't have anything left underneath it. You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have the building blocks of relationships underneath it, it's kind of like, what was the point of all that? And I think that's the whole thing of the concept of the business for me. And I say this and people are like, really? And my husband and I talk about this all the time. Like, I am not in Milkmaid to make millions of dollars. I'm not a Milkmaid to burn bridges. I'm not in this business to rule the world and have a cheese-based empire. I'm in it because it makes me really happy. I'm in it because I get to do what I love, and I'm in it because I get to help a community and make awesome relationships. It's all about a choice, right? It's like, at the end of the day, when you're all done with what you do, how do you feel about it when you're all done? We talk about that all the time.
And I think you definitely already touched on some of that stuff within how, in some of your other roles prior to finding this passion, you did just love helping make people feel good and giving them something beautiful to look at. And I think when that is the premise, you actually get so much more.
Right. Yeah, totally. I think that's 100% it. And I think we were talking about this. There's a ton of really amazing women who make food out of square one. And we were talking the other day. It was Maria with Maria's Homestyle Mexican and Renee, who owns Juice Box Fargo. And it was just like this collaboration of awesome women. And it was like a day and all of us were going absolutely crazy. We were in over our heads, and it happens more often than you think. And it's nice. It's like a family there, you know, like we could tell we were all in the weeds, and it's like, okay, well, we either all are going to make it or we're not. So we're going to do this, you know. And I just remember looking at them. I'm like, remember, we do this because we like to make people happy. And that's why you cook, right? That's why you have people over and you entertain. Or that's why, you know, a lot of the people, that's why when you go on a date, you go out to eat. Like, food is like comfort and it's love and it's all of these things. And so that's why, you know, sometimes you have to remember that root of like, we do this because we love it and we like making people happy.
I love that.
That is so perfectly said.
And even the question, how do you feel at the end of the day? How do you want to feel?
Right.
We're both reading a book and it talks a lot about that. How do you want to feel?
Right.
So I really like that you say that.
Yeah,
Puts it in perspective.
Yeah, I did a First Fridays event, which if you've never heard of it before, Megan Meardall and Gia Reiser, two of the most amazing women. You should have them on your show. They're wonderful people.
Yeah.
But they do a ton with food insecurity, and it's basically like 1 million cups with food-based businesses is the concept.
Okay.
And so I presented, and it was about this incubator kitchen system that we'd work at Square One. And I had a gentleman who asked me the question, because the big part of my speech and what they wanted me to talk about was like family balance and how working out of an incubator space allowed me to have that balance. And he was like, well, I just don't think, he's like, kind of in a way was insinuating that I was young and naive and was too early in my business to, which I was like, I don't handle that very well.
Let me tell you something.
But it was one of those things too where it really like retroflected, and I listened to that sometimes because it was one of those things where it's like, yes, sir, when I work hard, I work harder than I've ever worked before. But when I go home, I feel more satisfied than I've ever felt before. And I can choose when I work really hard, and I can choose when I don't. And that's always easier said than done, like harnessing the power of no and saying, you know, like that's not good for me in the space that I'm in. I've had to learn that the hard way too, which I think many a business person will tell you that. But yeah, it's just like you have to harness that for yourself, right? It's like you decide what it is. And because society tells you that's not what a typical business is, or that's not what your life should look like, you have the power to be like, that's what my life looks like. That's what my business looks like. It's gotten easier now that I'm 4 years into it. You know, it's like people understand that that's how it is. And I don't have a brick and mortar. I can't make you something 365. And that's just the reality of it. But it works for me, and I don't feel like I have to defend that anymore. And once you get to that point, it's such a good feeling.
That's really awesome you have that as a forefront of just kind of your goals for your business and your life. I think it's very easy for, I know I catch myself doing it too, thinking of where do I want to go, you know, thinking business, and then it's like, well, that's just, you know, a portion of it.
Yeah.
It's got to be a full circle.
Yeah. Balance is elusive, right? And I think the older you get and the more responsibilities that you take on, whether that's in your job or a marriage or children or pets or whatever that is, whenever you take on more responsibility, like it causes you to retroflect on what your priorities are. And so like when I started the business, like I said, I started this business with the intention of it being a part-time gig, allowing me to stay home with my children and also doing something that I really loved. And I was really lucky and really humble that I got to the point where I had to really sit down and reflect and be like, I either have to be mom full-time or I have to do Milkmaid full-time, because it's not fair to anybody or anything how I'm dividing my time. And so I really sat down and reflected, and I just decided like I would really regret not giving Milkmaid all that I had. And it's actually insane when you think about it. I had a 200% growth that year that I went full-time because I was able to put everything that I had towards it.
Wow.
I mean, let's just say like I wasn't half-assing anything anymore because I could work when I could work, and I could be a mom when I could be a mom, and I wasn't trying to split myself in two. It was like I could be this person these hours of the day, this person these hours of the day, and it just the mindset, I can't even tell you how.
How it changed? Really?
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those things, like I said, like when I do Milkmaid, I do Milkmaid, and I work really, really hard. And then when I'm a mom, I try to be a mom. And that's elusive. Balance is always elusive, and it's not perfect, but you know, and if I can't, my girl, like, even today, my youngest was like, can I go to Milkmaid, Mommy? I want to shop for some cheese.
Oh, that's cute.
She's so me. She loves cheese. But, you know, so it's like, then you take them with you, you know, you make them a part of it. And, yeah, I don't know.
Have the ability to mesh those two worlds together whenever you feel like it makes sense.
Yeah,
and you're lucky that you can do that.
Right, I'm blessed. It's a true blessing because not everybody gets to do that. So,
and not everybody, just from what we've heard within some of our other, you know, people that we've had on here, is not everyone gets that balance down right away. And I will guarantee that my employees will watch this and be like, "Oh, it makes you sound like your life is balanced." And they do keep me very humble in the fact of, like, you know, I'll do something and they'll be like, the last time you did something like that, you told us that we should tell you no. So let's, like, think of those priorities, Megan, and let's think of it, that stress and all those stuff is worth it. And you're like, oh, you're so right. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. It's good to have those supporting.
Brings you
down. So I would like to say that, like, I have it 100% down, and my husband will laugh at my face and be like, you definitely don't. But I try. It's been a huge, and like I said, I think it's because I had a mom who I really saw how that negatively affected our relationship and negatively affected her life. And I just was like, if I'm going to do a business, that can't be me. Yeah. So if I'm going to do it, how can I make it more feasible for my life and my lifestyle? So
that's awesome.
We try.
That is awesome.
I love that. So where can people find you?
Yeah. So we, like I said, right now, which was a huge step for us in 2021, we are a fully now immersive e-commerce website. So you can actually go online, order any of our products anytime, which is really cool. We do require a 48-hour notice, which is something to note. And then we either deliver within the Fargo-Moorhead area, or you can pick it up at Square One Kitchens, which is located on First Avenue North, kind of right by Drucker Brewhala. So if you know where that new awesome brewery is, we're right located there. We're pretty active on Facebook, Instagram, those types of things to figure out what's going on. But my biggest tip or trick, if you want to learn more about Milkmaid, is go to our website and follow our newsletter, because our classes tend to sell out quickly because we don't do as many of them as we used to, and we always give people who follow our newsletter first dibs at those things as a thank you for following us. So if you go to our website, sign up for our newsletter, you kind of get all of, and then also, like, during market season, you're going to get all of our market menus via that. Anytime we're doing Curd Fest next weekend.
Fun.
Oh my gosh.
So we have, like, lots of fun events that we partner up and do. Like, we're doing Unglued Craft Fest at Drucker this Sunday. We're doing Curd Fest in Bruton, Minnesota the following Saturday. So, like, if you get on our newsletter, you kind of get in on the cool stuff we're doing.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love it.
Oh my gosh. Thank you
so much. This was so fun.
I never knew I could love talking about cheese as much as I just did, because I loved it. I loved every second of this.
I know, and I learned so much. I'm gonna find that book, or that Steve Jobs or Steve.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
I'm gonna find that.
Once I find it, I'll let you guys share.
Yes. Send it to us. We'll post it on our Instagram and our YouTube. All the links. We'll have everything included for Milkmaid.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
And cheers to great cheese.
I finished mine.